Dr. Chad Duplantis from Fort Worth, Texas, and today we're going to talk about fabricating a putty matrix to be used for our longer span provisionalization of our aesthetic cases. So on this case, we have a wax up from our laboratory that's teeth 5 through 12, and we're going to be fabricating veneers on this patient. We take a stock tray, verify that it fits over the wax up. Next, I like to create separation or use a separating medium. And on these cases, I like to use Vaseline, a real thin layer of Vaseline. And we'll also paint the tray with a VPS adhesive. And then to fabricate the matrix, we'll use Honeygrum Pro Putty. It's an auto-mix putty from DMG Corporation. So we're gonna go ahead and paint our tray, and we're gonna paint our model with Vaseline, and then we'll get started on the painting. All right, so we've gone ahead and we've painted our wax up with Vaseline, which I really like to do because I find that it makes the material separate a lot easier. And we've painted our tray with a VPS adhesive. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and fill our tray with the putty. And one thing that I like to do is I always like to express a little bit first, just to make sure that my mix is consistent. And once we've confirmed that it's consistent, it's coming out in an appropriate color, we'll go ahead and we'll fill our tray with the putty. Now you just want to capture at least one or two teeth behind what you're going to be, fabricating your temporaries from. So in this case, it's teeth 5 through 12. So we're going to go ahead and now we're going to just gently seat our tray in there. And one of the nice things about this putty is that the set times are on here, 1 minute and 45 working time and a 3 minute and 15 second set time. So we'll go ahead and let this set, and then we'll be back in a minute. So we've gone ahead and let it set the appropriate amount of time. You'll notice that the material is rather stiff at this point. We'll go ahead and separate it. And when you look in there, you'll notice that, since we Vaseline the tray, that there may be some areas where you're just a little bit concerned, and I'd like my temporaries to be fabricated that fit a little bit tighter. So remember, we placed Vaseline, so there's a layer of Vaseline on here. So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna go ahead and clean this out with some alcohol and rinse it off. And then we're gonna fill it with a light body, compatible light body material, so that we can go ahead and capture anything that we might have missed with the previous putty impression. The last step of cutting the distal end off is entirely optional, but I like to do it because there was some interference on the tray over here. We've still got at least 1.5 teeth on both sides behind where our temporary is going to be from 5 to 12. And we've also got the palate to ensure stability when we seat this in the patient's mouth. Now what we're going to do next is you make sure that it's completely dry. And we're going to go ahead and reline it with light body impression material. Now, one thing to consider is that this is a PVS material, and latex and powdered gloves can affect the set of PVS. So make sure you're wearing latex-free gloves. Also, don't worry about placing the pointed tip on the end of the light body impression material, and you want to use a compatible material with the putty that you used. So in other words, a DMG product for the putty, a DMG product for the light. We're just going to try and capture a little bit more detail on these teeth. So what I'll do is I'll fill the tray, and then I'll go ahead and seat it again on our previously Vaseline cast. And we'll go ahead and seat it fully. And we'll let that set for the appropriate time. All right, so now we've gone ahead and separated, and you can see that our light body filling material filled in there real nicely. And it's separated real nicely, and we've captured all of the discrepancies that we had in the previous impression. And so the final step is I like to take a little 15 blade and trim off the excess, being careful not to hit the margins. And then the final step after I've trimmed everything
is I like to come in and right in between teeth 8 and 9 on these long span temporaries, I like to cut a little V-shaped notch. And that just gives me proper orientation in the mouth. When I seat this tray, I'll even widen that a little bit. So that coincides with the midline of your full arch putty matrix. And at this point in time, you're ready to go. When that patient comes in, you'll fill this in with Luxitemp and be able to fabricate a really nice, form-fitting temporary with minimal adjustments.
So I hope that you found today's tip helpful and informative, and I hope that it benefits you long-term for your provisionalization of your aesthetic and long-term provisional cases.